1122 to Kenny.
Edward Carson is an adult looking for a job. He is currently on his way to a job interview in a nearby cafe. Edward's friend Seth noticed him. Seth immediately walked down the stairs and approached Edward. He stumbled upon his friend who happens to be in the same place. Edward and his friend briefly talk to each other and wish each other luck. Edward continued to his interview in the cafe. Edward arrived at the cafe and started the interview. The interview seems to be going well and going smoothly. Edward is confidently answering the questions of the interviewer. However, in the end, the interviewer told Edward to wait for a call. Edward immediately knew that he wasn't accepted into the job he was applying for. Edward was left dismayed and sad. It's good that he didn't give up and continued to apply for another company. It shows his determination.
Shall we begin? May I see your resume? I'll sit down and now tell me.
The interview commences as the interviewer directs a series of inquiries towards Edward, probing into various aspects of his background and personality. Beginning with the basics, such as his name and age, the questioning swiftly delves deeper, exploring his past experiences, both professionally and personally, and his prevailing mindset. Edward finds himself fielding queries about his work history, skills, and proficiency, as the interviewer seeks to gain a comprehensive understanding of his capabilities and suitability for the position. In the end, Edward was accepted to the company and granted an internship position. Edward is so happy that he got accepted by the company and got a job. He then meets the CEO of the company. The CEO oriented Edward about the company's guidelines and rules to follow. He shakes Edward's hand and officially welcomed him. Edward begins to work in the company. He works very hard every day. He is determined to work hard for his living. It has been a while since he was hired by a company. As an intern, he also takes the job of other higher-ups. Edward meets Miss Angelica, a terror higher-up working in the company.
Good morning po, ma'am. Ito na po yung pinapagawa niyo po sa daily report po.
Ayos naman. Pero may another task ako sa'yo. And kailangan ko yun as soon as possible. Hanapin mo yan sa storage room.
She asks Edward to retrieve important documents in the storage room. While doing so, Edward stumbled upon hidden documents in the company. Documents that reveal the company's hidden secrets. Avoiding taxes, increasing sanitation issues, and running small businesses without licensing with their name. Edward has the will to report to the police, but doesn't have the courage to do so. Edward returns to Ms. Angelica to bring back the document that Angelica is looking for.
Good afternoon po. Sorry po kung natagalan. Ito na po yung pinapahanap niyo po sa storage.
At ngayon lang yan.
Nag-lunch po kasi kami sa labas.
Papalusot ka lang yata eh, kabago-bago mo.
Pasensya na po. Nagkaroon dami po kasi na Kayaan po kasi kami talaga.
Inuna mo pa yung nakaaya sa'yo kaysa dalhin sa akin yung hinahanap ko.
Pagkatapos po nun, doon ko lang po kumuha yung...
Napaka-unprofessional mo. Di ba sabi ko kailangan ko yan ASAP? Ba't ngayon lang yan? Napaka-pabayaan niyo talaga eh. Binabayaran ka namin dito para magtrabaho. Bago ka pa lang dito. Ako ang tagal-tagal ko na dito. Pag may pinapagawa sa'yo, gawin mo. Para di sinasayang yung binabayad ng company sa'yo. Ay, nako. Di pwede dito yung di sumusunod sa pinagagawa. Kung ganyan lang din ng ganyan, umalis ka na lang dito.
Edward was then scolded for breaking the rules, being late. Miss Angelica then scolded him, mistreating him, and called him unprofessional. At first, he was keeping the secret of the company so he can keep this job. But after what happened, he knew what had to be done. Not only for vengeance, but also it's the right thing to do. A few days later, the employees of the RS Noodle Corps were arrested by the police. The employees looked at Edward and held a grudge against him. The police detained the employees of the RS Noodle Corps. As they all say, nothing lasts forever. The RS Noodle Corporation, where Edward Carson was working, has been exposed for illegally evading taxes by hiring smaller companies and for sanitation issues. The CEO and the workers have been apprehended. We will now analyze each scene and show what values, moral reasonings, and ethical principles took place. This rundown serves as a summary of the story. Edward Carson is an adult seeking a livelihood. He was interviewed many times but failed at every occasion. Eventually, he was successfully accepted into the RS Noodle Corps. Edward Carson became a productive and diligent intern. During his employment, he stumbled upon important documents of the company. The 7 moral reasoning steps have been applied in this situation. 1. Gathered facts. Edward discovered the company's shady business practices, such as avoiding taxes and licensing violation. 2. Determine the ethical issues. Edward realized that not only was the company is dangerously violating health regulations that could harm not just them, but also the public. 3. Identify the principle. Edward felt that it would be wrong to report the company's internal business dealings to the police because it would affect the livelihood of many employees. 4. List the alternatives. Edward considered reporting the issue to the authorities. 5. Compare the alternatives with the principles. Edward compared his decision with his moral ideals. 6. Weigh the consequences. Edward began to ponder the company's safety compared to the public safety. He could save the company, but also potentially endanger many individuals. 7. Make a decision. Edward initially lacked the willpower to report the authorities. However, Miss Angelica's derogatory comments instilled a sense of moral courage within Edward and the will to report the criminal behavior. The ethical subjectivism in this story is that Edward focused on facts, like the unethical acts of the company. He reported to the police because he had a reason to do so. The impartiality occurred when the employees from RS Noodle Corporation lost their jobs, so did Edward. As for Edward, despite doing the right thing, it also cost everyone's jobs, including his. And that's the ending of this story. For now. Days have passed. Edward Carson noticed few strangers talking about the closure of RS Noodle Corporation and the loss of many employees' jobs. Edward also meets his friend Seth again. Seth recommends Edward to a company he knows that would fit Edward's abilities and skills. Edward Carson is looking forward to a new job interview. Despite losing his previous one, he wasn't hindered to finding a new job. As the saying goes, doing the right thing is hard because you will lose something. But in the end, you lose some, you win some.